name's Ryan. I'm one of the senior technicians over here at VoltBike. Today we're going to go over creaking headset / stem issues. It's a pretty easy problem to diagnose and fix. You'll need a few things for this job. You'll need a 6mm Allen key, a 5mm Allen key, a 4mm Allen key, and some grease. Typically something that's a little bit heavy. I've got some clear grease here just because it's a little prettier to work with. So there are a few places where this creaking can be originating from. Number one are the stem bolts. You're going to want to make sure those 4 bolts are nice and tight. This is done with a 4mm Allen key. So make sure those are good and tight. Aluminum on aluminum can cause creaking noises. So those are all tight to go. Working our way down, the next place where there could be some creaking issues coming are this adjustable stem bolt. This is a 6mm bolt that allows the stem to articulate up and down. You're going to want to make sure that one is nice and tight. Normally we do this from the factory, but you know, occasionally some things get missed. My name is Ryan, senior technician over here at VoltBike. In this video we're going to be addressing the possibility of creaking headset bearings. For this job you will require some grease, a 4mm Allen key, and a 5mm Allen key. First things first, we're going to loosen up the stem bolts, which are the 4mm on the side here. We'll relieve the pressure on the steer tube. Next, we're going to completely remove the 5mm stem bolt. And the entire assembly should just slide right off. There goes the spacer there with that. So of course, you've got a bolt there. You're going to want to take that out because this is going to hang and you will lose it on the floor. Okay, so we have a spacer, obviously, is the assembly. Take things off in the order that you're going to replace them to help you remember what you're doing. So spacer comes off. The top of the headset now next comes off. Sometimes you have to jiggle the forks just a bit to get your fingers under there. And now we can see the bearing assembly that's under here. There's also a tapered spacer that goes in between the bearing. Inside here you may have to remove. There we go. As you can see, this one has been greased. But sometimes from the factory they come a little bit dry, and so that could originate the creaking. So that's the top bearing, and then on the bottom we've also got another bearing up inside here. This is known as the fork race, and the bearing is up inside there, and you can see yourself if that is dry or if it has some grease on there. So again, throw a little bit of grease on there. I'll just show you. Don't be shy to be liberal with it. You can always wipe it off afterwards after you put it together, but don't obviously gob it on. A little bit more at the top here like this as well. And then simply reassemble. So do be careful with your fingers here. Pop that back down. Tapered spacer goes back in. This actually stops the steer tube from jiggling around. And the top of the headset is next. And you can see you want this flush around the actual head tube of the bicycle. So sometimes it takes just jiggling the forks and setting that back into position. Now you can see that's nice and flush all the way around. Replace your spacer. Next, your stem goes back on. Next, you're going to put the 5mm stem bolt down inside the stem. Using your 5mm Allen key, tighten this down. If you are having troubles engaging the threads on this and the bolt keeps spinning, there is a chance that you have not seated both the top and the bottom of the headset correctly. So just wiggle the steer tube until those set into place, and you should be able to tighten this. You want this fairly tight so that there's no wiggle in the headset, but you don't want it so tight that there's no movement in the steering. So there's a fine place to go. If you've got a torque wrench, it's somewhere around 6 Newton meters, I would think. Next, we align the stem with the tire to make sure that it's nice and straight. This can take a bit of practice. Sometimes this takes people a little longer than others. You take your 4mm Allen key, tighten down the stem bolts. Make sure these are good and tight. Manufacturer specifications is between 9 and 11 Newton meters for these bolts here.